Have you ever wondered about the story of Emily and David? They were no ordinary couple. Residing in a picturesque small town, their love story began like a beautifully written novel, full of promise and hope, which pulls so many of us towards it. Emily, a vibrant and vivacious woman, met David, a charming and charismatic man, and it was as if two souls had finally found their missing halves. Their love, at first sight, blossomed into a relationship that was admired by all. This tale, it was not just about their love but about their journey, their dreams, their shared smiles, their whispered secrets and their silent tears. They built a life together, a home filled with laughter, warmth and memories. They stood beside each other holding hands, weathering every storm, celebrating every success. Their bond was the epitome of support and strength, a relationship that everyone desired to have. But as in every story, conflict arose. The relentless hands of time which once brought them together started to drift them apart. The once joyous laughter began to fade, replaced by deafening silence. The once warm glances turned cold. The misunderstandings, the misconceptions, the unspoken words, the unattended emotions, began to seep into their once perfect relationship. It was as if life, in its cruel irony, was testing their once unbreakable bond. The spark that once lit their lives started to dim, and the chasms of neglect and resentment started to form. Their love, which was once their strength, slowly turned into their weakness, their Achilles heel. Every day was a reminder of what once was and what could no longer be. This degrading love, this growing distance, this widening rift, was a heartbreaking spectacle for all. Their story, once a fairy tale, was now a heartbreaking narrative of love and loss. But as the hands of time moved forward, their love began to fade. Misunderstandings and neglect crept into their relationship, causing a rift that grew wider with each passing day. Eventually, Emily reached a painful realization. It was a bitter understanding, a stark knowledge that struck her like an unexpected blow. Emily, who was once so deeply enamored with David, now found herself standing at the precipice of a harsh truth. She had fallen out of love with him. The realization, not a sudden one. It was a thought that had been bubbling under the surface, a slow erosion of feelings that had once been rooted so firmly in her heart. It was like a splintering mirror, the cracks in their relationship becoming more evident with each passing day. The thought was as sharp as a knife, cutting through her like the finest of steel. She felt the sting, the pain of it, but she also felt a strange sense of relief. She had been denying it for a long time, ignoring the signs and trying to convince herself that everything was fine. But now, faced with this harsh reality, she knew that staying in a marriage devoid of love would only bring more sorrow. And so, decided to divorce. It was a decision that was both heart-wrenching and necessary, a choice made with heavy hearts, but clear minds. They parted ways but did so amicably, with respect and understanding. However, the split was not without its complications. David, ever the dreamer, tried to win Emily back. He promised change, a renewed commitment, a chance at a fresh start. But Emily's heart had already wandered too far from him. It was lost in the wilderness of her own feelings, in the labyrinth of emotions that she was struggling to navigate. Their marriage had ended, but her journey was only beginning. The divorce left her with a gaping void, a hollow emptiness where her love for David once resided. She tried to fill this void with different relationships in a desperate attempt to find the happiness that had eluded her. She sought comfort in the arms of others, yearned for a love to replace the one she had lost, yet none of them brought her the happiness she sought. Years rolled by and Emily observed as those in her life found their significant others and discovered what seemed to be blissful happiness. Each laugh, each touch of affection she saw was a stark reminder of what she didn't have. Her friends, her family, even her co-workers all seemed to be happily paired off. She played a part in their celebrations, weddings boasting of unity and love, baby showers filled with anticipation and joy of new life, each time as the singular figure without a partner by her side. Her existence was filled with countless joyous events, but she was always the loner, the single soul without a companion, the solitary guest in a sea of couples. Each celebration was a painful reminder of her loneliness, her solitary existence in stark contrast to the couples around her. The happiness of others was almost unbearable for Emily to witness, as it was an ever-present reminder of what she was missing. As this relentless loneliness infiltrated her heart, it took root, spreading like a merciless weed. The emptiness was a constant companion, overshadowing the joy of every event she attended. The nagging question began to grow louder in her mind, echoing off the walls of her heart. Would she ever experience happiness, genuine love? companionship again? The ghost of her past love lingered around her, an unquiet spirit that refused to rest. David, the man she had loved and left. His memory haunted her thoughts, his phantom presence tormented her nights, filling them with regret and endless what-ifs. Had she been wrong in him go? In the quiet of her solitary existence, she found herself questioning that fateful decision. She was tormented by the numerous possibilities, by the roads untaken. She wondered if she had made a mistake by leaving David. Eventually, when her hair had turned silver and lines etched her face, Emily realized something profound. The change hadn't occurred overnight. It was a slow transformation, much like the seasons. Change crept in subtly, as unnoticeable as the first few strands of silver that had woven themselves into her dark curls. It was as quiet as the soft lines that began to map themselves onto her face, tracing each laughter, each frown, each surprised gasp, until they became a canvas of her entire life. Years slowly turned into decades. Emily had dedicated those years searching for something in the external world, something she believed had been missing. This missing piece, she assumed, was love, a partner, a soulmate. She had spent countless nights gazing at the stars, beseeching them to guide her other half. But it was all in vain. She had been looking for love, not realizing it was not an outside entity, but a feeling that was meant to bloom within her. Her house, once filled with laughter and chatter, now echoed with silence. The silence of solitude, once a looming dread, had now become her solace. It was her companion in her journey of self-discovery. Her path of finding happiness took a turn inward, towards her own self. Emily dissected her past, her choices, not with regret but with acceptance and understanding. She acknowledged that the love she had experienced with David, albeit fleeting, was pure and real. It was not a mistake, but a beautiful chapter of her life. Despite not finding another partner, she was not alone. Emily had learned to love herself, to find the symphony in solitude, the peace in her own company. And the house, no longer empty but filled with her self-love, echoed her whispers of contentment, her sighs of satisfaction, her laughter of self-amusement. Eventually she had learned to love herself and find contentment in solitude. Emily's journey is a poignant reminder that happiness is not always found in the arms of another. She learned the hard way that life is not a fairy tale where a prince rescues a damsel in distress. Her story wasn't written in the stars, it was penned by her own hands. It was etched in every tear she shed, every heartbreak she endured, every struggle she overcame. She had to navigate through a labyrinth of confusion and disappointment. The path she walked was not a straight one. It twisted and turned, spiraled into darkness, then into light. It was a path that often seemed like an endless journey of solitude and despair, painting a picture of a solitary figure wandering under the vast expanse of a starless night. She questioned herself, her worth, her purpose. She brushed shoulders with despair, danced with loneliness, and sat down for meals with self-doubt. Emily was not just fighting an external battle, but an internal one, where the enemy a tangible figure but rather insecurities and fears that resided within her. But through this journey, she found strength in her solitude. She found beauty in her pain. She discovered that her heartbeat was a rhythm all on its own, beating a symphony of resilience and courage. She wasn't just existing, she was living, thriving, and growing. Emily didn't just find herself in this journey, she created herself. She sculpted her identity, polishing the edges, smoothing out the rough spots, and adding intricate details. Her journey wasn't about finding someone to share her life with, it was about finding the life within her, the laughter, the joy, the passion that made her who she is. Through her painful and lonely path, Emily learned that her worth and happiness were not defined by a partner but by the love she carried within her soul. And so, we come to the end of Emily's story, a story of love, loss, and ultimately, self-discovery. A story that teaches us, above all, the importance of loving oneself.